the 1880s to 1890s are the earliest works of art that we have in this collection, and it spans all the way to today. When visitors come to PAAM, or if I'm giving a tour or something, the first thing I ask visitors is, do you know that Provincetown is the oldest continuous art colony in America? And 9 times out of 10, not only do people not know that, but they don't even know what that means. And it took me a while to figure out, what does that actually mean? What it means is Charles Hawthorne, the artist, came to Provincetown in 1899. He had been studying with William Merritt Chase in Shinnecock, Long Island, and he decided to mimic William Merritt Chase's school of plein air painting and bring it to Provincetown. So he opened that school in 1899, and that school still continues today. I believe the light is really one of the reasons why artists came to Provincetown, and when people say, well, what do you mean, explain it, my standard answer is, you should really come here and see it for yourself, because the fact that Provincetown is surrounded by water on 3 sides, we don't really have any tall buildings, so the way that the light reflects on the water in particular provides this incredible setting that's conducive to creative people, to whether they're painting, writing about it, filming, singing. It was a lot of curiosity that drew people here, word of mouth, but also the schools. So after Hawthorne opened his school in 1899, by probably 1906, there were 5 schools of art in Provincetown. So the idea of coming, mostly from New York is where a lot of these artists were coming from, was to actually take a class and study for a week in the summer. So primarily, Provincetown was a very seasonal community for a long time. Artists came in the summer. You could rent a room for $3 a night. Artists were treated like royalty in Provincetown. Every afternoon at the end of the day, fishermen would leave a bucket of fish at the end of the pier for an artist to come and get something to eat if they didn't have anything, with the understanding or hope that maybe the artist would want to paint them. And for Hawthorne in particular, he was very, very concerned with the local culture in Provincetown, a lot of the Portuguese immigrants who had come to live here, who had settled here. So a lot of the portraits that he painted were of the local fishermen, Portuguese workers, children, and people of the town. And so his legacy really kind of traces the who of Provincetown, but also the pier, the wharfs, the beach. And so his work is really iconic in that he documents what Provincetown was from the time 1899 to 1930. It was a specific way of looking at how color melds, and how mixing color and creating light through color was really a key piece of his philosophy. Most of the time you were painting outdoors in plein air. You were using a live model for the most part, and or a still life or a seascape, but it was really painting from life is what Hawthorne was really concerned with. Everyone was given the same materials. If your work was hung in a gallery, 9 times out of 10, you were hanging it. If you were Robert Motherwell, you weren't getting a better space on a wall than somebody else. There was really this on equal ground kind of thinking, which the more I learned, the more I'm blown away by that, because the New York art scene was very, very different. One of the things I love to tell new artists or younger artists that come into Provincetown, like the Fine Arts Work Center fellows who have an exhibition here, a lot of them come from other parts of the world. And what I tell them is that when you go out to the dunes, or if you're in Beach Forest, or if you're somewhere, just remember that Helen Frankenthaler and Robert Motherwell and Charles Hawthorne, they were looking at the same thing you were looking at. And the inspiration that they received through the beauty of this little spit of land is the same thing that you're receiving. And so think of yourself the minute you step foot here and start creating, you become part of the legacy. The history is just so rich, and there are so many people that have dedicated themselves to making that history available, whether it's through a structure or a building or an artist or a book or a poem or something like that. I think the richness of creativity still exists today, and I love when I see people be able to recreate themselves because of Provincetown. An artist will say to me, I'm doing something completely different now. And I think that's really exciting, and I think that goes all the way back to the beginning.